All right. We're back here on Radio Row. Today, I have Bill Miller from the American Gaming Association. El Presidente.
El Presidente, yes,
How about
sir.
that? Let's just dive right into
With
it.
El Jefe.
Yeah. Hey. We do what we can around here. Talk to me. Let's just start. It's Super Bowl week.
Yep.
Big week for you. Big week for the industry. Tell me what your role is a little bit, and then let's just dive into, Super Bowl itself and how this game is going to affect your role.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the president and CEO of the American Gaming Association. My job is to make sure that people understand the benefits of the legal, regulated market. And what that means is we have that in our membership, we've got casinos, both commercial casinos as well as tribal. There's tons. We have, we've got Pachanga and San Manuel and Morongo, among others, just in California. But importantly, we represent the interests of sports betting and the online space too. And so my job, I'm in Washington, D.C. Our job is principally to make sure that Washington stays out of our business because we've got this robust industry that continues to grow and grow. And in the sports betting space specifically, it's really grown since 2018.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a consumer, so I definitely understand. So the Super Bowl, it's in Vegas this year. And it's also, as you said, it's legal. It's very easy across multiple platforms, especially being here. You could just go to a casino to bet on this game, to bet on any game. But the Super Bowl it's the granddaddy of them all, right?
Is there a copyright infringement on the Rose Bowl that you just ran through there?
I don't know. Nobody's looking. What's the betting projections, wave? Obviously, I would imagine a huge spike. But can you get into that at all?
Yeah, sure. One of the things we do is we estimate, the number of people that'll bet on the Super Bowl, the amount of money they'll wager on the Super Bowl.
Right.
And what we're seeing is as the legal market grows bigger and bigger, and it's important to remember that, and most people don't know this, but up until May of 2018, the only place you could legally bet on sports in America was Nevada.
Right.
And so Supreme Court ruled that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
In America, why should one state have a monopoly? Although this is an incredible state and Vegas is an incredible place, Governor Chris Christie, who was the governor of New Jersey, took it to the Supreme Court and said, that's BS.
Yeah,
All
totally.
the rest of the states should have the ability to do it too. And now we have got 38 states plus DC where it's legal. And so the number of people that can legally bet on sports has grown massively.
Oh, I can imagine.
So I think we're at 68 million Americans that we estimate are going to bet on the Super Bowl this year.
Wow.
And that's in everything from online to sports books to actually a corner bookie, as well as doing squares at your friend's house on Super Bowl day. So $23 billion, which is 44% up from just last year.
Wow.
And again, we've got 6 new states that have just come on legally. So we're just continuing to see something that is, I think, really, really important, and that is moving people away from the illegal market where they really, look, I say it all the time, people have been betting on sports as long as there have been sports to bet on. They just didn't have a legal option up until now.
Yeah, you had to find, like you said, a bookie of sorts and find a way, if you will. And now you can't watch a game without 10 commercials of a different sports book that's looking to, get you to sign up. Hell, we had a partnership with Prize Picks.
Okay.
And when you talk about sports, they want people to have that crossover, and it kind of goes hand in hand. But more about the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have the details of, are people betting? I'm not saying which team, but what are some of the weird prop bets that you could bet on this year? Any range?
Well, I mean, the Super Bowl is one of those unique experiences where every sports book has to kind of think through using analytics, figuring out probabilities, and everything from kind of the color of the Gatorade to the heads or tails and the length of the Star Spangled Anthem. All of those things all of those different bets are determined by the regulators in the particular state. So some allow, but whether Taylor Swift's going to do a cartwheel, it's not going to be one of them.
Well, you could do Taylor Swift. How many times she's shown on the screen? I think that an over/under on that would be pretty entertaining.
I think it will and would be entertaining. It's just not going to be something that a legal sports book's
It'll probably just be a drinking game in our household that day. Take a shot. People are going to be hammered by halftime.
Definitely.
So Vegas, being the sports, it's become a sports town almost.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
Tell me about the evolution of Vegas going from a place known as casinos to now it is the sports destination almost.
It's just remarkable to think. This is, as you said, this is the most important sporting event that happens in America.
Absolutely.
Bar none. And the idea that in the last 20 years, let's say even last 10 years, what we've seen is this remarkable turnaround from the Sin City being a place where athletes were barred or couldn't be part of the this important economic area. So it started with getting hockey, right?
Yeah.
NHL, Golden Knights come here, the Aces, we'll see what happens with the Oakland A's,
right?
And that's still kind of in dispute. But then, the Raiders come here.
That's big franchise.
And to think about, it wasn't that long ago that the broadcasts wouldn't allow a gambling commercial, or even there was a point in time when there was a campaign. I'm sure you remember. It was "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas."
Absolutely.
These guys wanted to run that ad during the Super Bowl. Didn't have anything to do with gambling.
Yeah.
It just had to do with Las Vegas. And Vegas was so kind of taboo that the NFL put the kibosh on it.
Wow.
Think about how far we've come to this place where, there's hundreds of commercial partnerships between the industry, the gaming industry, and the NFL and broadcasters and arenas and it has been an incredible transformation, and I think it's been really, really good for the sports fan. Right.
Legal betting is now, because it's more available, it is, you just said the numbers. There's more people betting in general. Where do you see legal betting going? Will we get all 50 states everywhere we want to go, or what's the holdup on some of those?
Look, every state determines this on their, and so, not to get too wonky, but, the Constitution has a 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment says whatever is not specifically delegated to the federal government is left to the states. So the states can decide how much gambling they want to have.
Right.
And so, look, there's a state, like Utah may never have a lottery, let alone sports betting. And that's okay, because the collective citizens of Utah would make that decision. We've got some pretty big states out there, like Texas and Georgia, that don't have sports betting yet, and think that they'll probably come on. California has this really interesting dynamic of, you've got, the commercial sports betting dynamic, and then the tribal nations, and there is a lot of conflict as that plays. And so we'll see how that works out, but I'm sure eventually it will work out, because you've got, largest state in the country, and right now, for the most part, no legal sports betting.
Right. Betting tendencies. We always hear the word bet responsibly.
Yep.
If you had to define what betting responsibly would be, how would you define that?
Thanks for that question. It's really, really, really important.
It's in my notes.
Oh, well, even better.
I'm a pro, Bill. Come on.
Well, what I would say is, number one, betting should be fun. Nobody should ever believe that they're smart enough to beat the house. And so this is adult mainstream entertainment. And so you ought to have a budget. You ought to stick to your budget. You ought to think about whether or not, when you lose, you should chase losses. You should never go chase losses.
No.
And so I think that the most important thing to think about when you are thinking about what responsible gaming looks like, it starts with setting a budget, making sure that you understand this is fun. This is not a second job.
No.
You're not going to pay your rent based around your expertise in sports betting. There are people that, this is what, there are very, very few people that can make a living in sports betting. And for the most part, they don't have more than 60% win rate.
Right. I've always had the conversation between, my buddies, we're hanging out, shooting the shit, and it's like, what should your unit be? And you kind of learn the more you hear, we're a podcast, we like to chirp, we're for the boys, we like to have a good time. And I think you kind of explained it best. You don't need to bet. You don't got to put the mortgage on a game to get that adrenaline rush of sweat of a bet. And you kind of have your number. $5 might not be enough, but you probably don't need to 100.
But $5 might be enough on a parlay.
It very much can. Right? 5 to win 100. Let's ride it. 100. Let's ride it.
Dude, that's the kind of thing that people can really get behind when you say. And I think that there's a misconception among people that think that sports betting's gone out of control. Remember, there's still a monster illegal marketplace out there, and those people don't care about responsible gambling.
No.
They don't care about whether or not you lose your house or whether or not you lose. Our business, we're the most highly regulated industry in America, and we can lose our license. We do get fined, and so for us, building a long-term sustainable business is the most important thing, and you can't go burn customers if you want to have a long-term sustainable business.
Is there a formula to determine, hey, you should not bet over this unit?
I think that's hard to say because,
I'm just thinking of a mortgage calculator, when you're about to buy a house. I make this much a year, my expenses are this much, you could afford this much of a house.
I think it's hard because every individual's got their own set of financial circumstances, but this should squarely sit in discretionary entertainment.
It's bottom of the totem pole for sure.
It should not be in the we're gonna commingle gambling and groceries.
No,
never.
No, those aren't bundled.
No, they are not bundled.
What else you got for me, Bill?
Well, look again. What an amazing mainstream moment for the gaming industry, right? This is a town that got started with with colorful dynamics, right?
Yep.
Bugsy Siegel, Teamster Money, etc.
Right.
We have become a mainstream entertainment destination, and now we are a major sports destination.
Yeah.
And the NFL has brought the Super Bowl here. I was here for the draft, and that was an exciting moment.
Oh, I can imagine.
And to be here for the Super Bowl, incredible.
Huge. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Miller, the American Gaming Association president. Bill, I appreciate your time. Got to get you a hat before you leave.
Yes, sir.
And I'll make sure I bet responsibly, but I'm definitely going to be putting some coin on this game,
awesome.
right? Taking the house, baby. Taking the house. Appreciate you, Bill.
All right.